We asked you to tell us what's left you feeling totally ripped off, and you've contacted us in your thousands. You've told us about the companies that you think get it wrong, and the customer service that simply is not up to scratch.
I want to just speak to someone and tell them my problem and them to sort it out.
You've asked us to track down the scammers that stole your money and investigate the extra charges you say are unfair.
I will never shop again with that company.
And when you've lost out but no one else is to blame, you've come to us to stop others falling into the same trap.
Why can't they all just give it you at the price it should be? They don't. They just try and charge as much as you can.
So whether it's a blatant rip-off or a genuine mistake, we're here to find out why you're out of pocket and what you can do about it. Your stories, your money. This is Rip Off Britain. Hello and a very warm welcome to Rip Off Britain, the programme that's here to fight your corner when it feels like nobody else will. And that's certainly the situation in which all the people we've been meeting today have found themselves in at one point or another, stuck in very, very frustrating circumstances from which they just can't see a way out.
And indeed, in some cases, that's been because they've hit a brick wall in their dealings with a particular company. In others, it's more to do with deep-rooted concerns about the way in which some key services we rely on are currently operating. Either way, the people concerned have come to us to try and find a way forward.
And I'm happy to say that for some of them, it seems there is light at the end of the tunnel. Particularly in one story where, as you'll see, a group of residents has finally found a solution to a problem that they feared they'd never escape. And it's one that could work for you too. So, watch and learn.
Coming up, why rebellion is in the air for a group of residents hoping to take back control of the place where they live.
So let me get this straight. Do you all agree that you want to change your management company? A resounding yes.
And could the end be in sight for house surveys that fail to spot problems like this?
I was absolutely devastated. Compared to the house we bought, this survey doesn't give any indication on the areas of damage.
No one likes to feel they're paying over the odds for anything, but that is a theme that comes up time and time again in the letters and emails that you send us about management companies, the ones that you pay to look after flats or other shared residential buildings up and down the country. Whether it's the cost of cleaning and maintenance shooting up every year, or simply the poor quality of work that's being done, it's clear that some of these companies, and in particular their fees, do drive a lot of you up the wall. But for those who are unhappy, they've discovered that thanks to a very little-known piece of legislation, there is something that they can do about it. Well, here's a group of residents who've done just that. They say it's transformed their lives, and very much for the better. This quiet block of flats in a sleepy corner of East Sussex might seem like an unlikely place for a revolution. But that's exactly what this group of residents says they want to be part of. They're unhappy with the company that's responsible for managing their building, and now, if they can, they want out.
They aren't looking after us, they don't really care.
We're all just fed up to the back teeth with it all.
I just think that they are of the opinion that we're rather elderly and we've retired and that we're going a little gaga and that we're not able to look after ourselves.
And clearly you can.
And we can, and we're going to.
These residents are some of the leaseholders of the 32 flats in the Pondside Court building. Their issues date back to 2006, when their current management company, First Port, took over the running of the building from their previous management company.
Good morning, Norma.
Hello, Angela.
Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you as well.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
86-year-old Norma Wilson has been a leaseholder of a flat in the building for 15 years. Since First Port took over its management, she says she's been trying to get the company to fix a serious damp problem, but with no success.
On one occasion, I came back from Spain. Water was running down the front door. My carpet was soaked. I'm paddling through the water, and all my mail was on the floor, soaking wet.
Well, let's just take a look at some of these photographs. You can actually see extraordinary damage.
Yes.
We're talking about a
wet.
huge area,
Yes.
soaking wet in your bedroom. Ah, that's where the socket outlet is. The
Yes,
water's pouring down from it.
And that's where I'm sleeping, next to that.
And you can see as plain as anything
Yes.
the water on the carpets.
And there's one where the carpets are all black.
You're trying to soak up the water
yes,
there,
I
aren't
am,
you?
yes.
You've got all this documentary proof.
Yes.
All this evidence, photographic evidence, as clear as anything.
Yes.
That there is water in this flat.
Yes.
And it's never been resolved.
Never.
And yet, as far as Norma's concerned, it is First Port's problem. After all, she pays them a fee every year to maintain the communal areas and also go towards a contingency fund for general repairs such as the issue with her damp. But she says she's had no luck in getting them to take her problem seriously. This management company, how much do you pay them a year for the work that they do for you?
I can tell you this year it was, I paid $3,388.
And what do you expect them to do for that?
Well, I expect them to look after us. And when there's a problem, they should fix it.
Do you feel you're getting value for money?
No.
So how do you feel about the way that the company have treated you?
I think they've treated me very badly because I did ask for compensation. They said, no way.
And Norma isn't the only person in the building who says they're fed up with First Port. Some of her neighbours say they're not getting value for money either.
In general, we feel that the maintenance charges are far too high for the amount of work which they are supposed to be doing.
What are you expecting from the management company?
Well, better service than we're getting now.
In fact, many of the residents are so frustrated with the current situation that they'd like things to change, and soon. And they could be in luck. Thanks to legislation known as Right to Manage, introduced in 2002, if over half of the leaseholders in a communal block of flats want to begin the process of taking over the running of the building themselves, they can. Will that prospect hold any appeal for the residents of Pondside Court we've gathered together? So let me get this straight. Do you all agree that you want to change your management company? Yes. A resounding yes. Well, let's see if we can help them get the information they need to make an informed decision. In the meantime, complaints about management companies are a constant feature of the letters and emails that you send us. And several of you have told us that though you'd be interested in taking up your right to manage, you just don't know how to go about doing it. Well, one group that has given it a go and says they'll never go back are the residents and keen quizzers of Fernwood Apartments on the Wirral.
In the Canary Islands, there are no canaries. And in the Virgin Islands, no canaries either.
5 years ago, unhappy with the way their building was being run by an external management company, they decided to take matters into their own hands, giving that management company the elbow and taking the reins themselves. One of the current directors is retired deputy head teacher Marianne Sumter.
The management company didn't do very much. There were never any formal meetings or even informal meetings, never any attempt to meet with the residents, get their views, talk to them about things they would like, and nothing really changed very much in terms of things being done around the place. You know, there was no obvious signs of redecoration or new furniture or anything. Hi, Craig, come on in. Is it cold out there today? Yeah, well, thanks for coming. Anyway, both of these lights, there's something faulty, I think.
Marianne is one of 3 residents who've become directors of a company that was set up to take over the running of the building. It has meant a lot of extra work for herself, but Marianne says it gets problems sorted more quickly and more cheaply.
Whether it's cleaning, keeping the garden, decoration, keeping the peace sometimes, all aspects really of, it's like running a house, but bigger than just running your own house in a way.
Right to Manage allows leaseholders in communal blocks to take charge of who carries out everything, from essential maintenance work to cleaning, and how much they pay for it.
Hi, Julie. All
Hi,
right?
Marianne.
So today you're all right on your own? You're doing this floor?
Yeah, and then I'm going to
Upstairs, and then you're done for the day.
I'm done for the day.
That's great. All right.
Oh,
we love
thank you.
Thank you. OK, so we want to do the dates for March first, don't we, really, Ron?
Marianne works alongside fellow management company directors like Ron Astle to oversee every aspect of the day-to-day running of the building and budget for any repairs that need doing.
So for the event name, it's just residents meeting.
As far as I'm aware, there's never been any issue being left unattended. We've had a couple of issues with the outside. It was done straight away, no questions, and everyone has a voice here, and we get things done because of that.
Ditching a management company is not straightforward, but Marianne says the benefits for residents are potentially huge.
That was one of the things that we very definitely took on board from the beginning, that we wanted to look at all of our service providers and see if we were getting the best value for money that we could possibly get, so that we could keep the service charges as low as possible.
Back in East Sussex, Norma and the other residents are galvanised and ready to find out more about their options. So I've invited along someone who knows all about what's involved. OK, everybody, this is the moment you've been waiting for. Let me introduce you to Sebastian O'Kelly. He is an expert in freehold and leasehold management. Seb's come to advise them how to get started on what can be a tricky road to navigate. Norma, Joe, Sean, do you want to come and join us? I think we've gathered that everybody is so dissatisfied with the company that they have supposedly looking after them. What exactly are their rights and how can they go about changing that?
Well, they do have this right to manage. It is a no-fault process, so you have the right to this. You don't have to say the landlord's at fault because he hasn't fixed the roof or whatever the argument is. You don't have to get into any of that. You just need to say, here are our numbers, here are the notifications for the right to manage, the paperwork has to be correct, the papers are served on the freeholder, and then the management comes into your hands.
Will it actually make a difference to the amount of money they have to pay at the end of the year in their management fees, do you think?
I think it could do, but you can't simply reduce the service charges to a minimal amount. You know, the building has to be maintained. Yeah. Water can't come through the roof, the drains have to work, the house manager has to be employed properly. It seems Seb's advice has struck a chord with the residents. Has it absolutely stiffened your resolve now to go ahead and do this? Yes.
And you've got every expectation that if you take over yourselves, you will get a much, much better service from whichever managing agent.
I'm sure we will. Can't be worse.
Can't be worse.
If they do ultimately want to go through with the process, Norma and her neighbours will still have to convince more of the people living in the block that it is in their interests. And when we put Norma's concerns to the current management company, First Port, it was keen to stress all that it's done to help with the problems that she's had. It says it's worked with her to tackle the damp-related issues, and while it understands how frustrating all of this has been, it added that her apartment was built against an earth bank, which has made the situation more complex. However, it said it has now solved the issue of Norma's damp. It went on to say that its service charge is calculated to reflect residents' requirements, with the costs of any works made clear before they're carried out, and it's confident that repairs have been timely, informed by expert advice, and cost-effective. But it may be too late, because after what they've heard, Norma and many of her neighbours say they would still dearly love to keep exploring the idea of implementing their right to manage.
I'm feeling a lot happier now, and what Seb told us was very interesting, and I'm sure we can get this off the ground.
What is the name of the world's first cloned sheep?
Oh, yes.
Meanwhile, back on the Wirral, Marianne is delighted that more people are considering taking the running of the buildings that they live in into their own hands.
Right to Manage has changed the lives of the people in this building because they are more relaxed, they are more comfortable because they feel they know what's going on, because we are in control, and because the chances are we will end up not being as expensive.